TikToker, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're doing very well. Okay, I want to carry on the conversation that I am listening to my comment section and what you're saying about my background, and I want you to know that we had a little, discussion about where Dolly Parton should be yesterday. She was originally here and, we kind of anonymously voted that she should be bumped up. So people were commenting that she should be put beside, her granddaughter, Miley Cyrus. So I read the comments and I have moved her again. It seems like in every video she is moving around, but you know what? I'm willing to move her where we feel comfortable. You know what I mean? She's the only one that has been moved around this much. So I just wanted to start the video with saying that look, she's now beside her family. Okay, we are going to be talking about Ryland Adams, so because I have to do that, let me put on some hand sanitizer. And we are now going to be talking about the fact that he has addressed the backlash that he got for basically just bullying his fans. And it's not me reaching, like I'm not, I'm not reaching up here, whatever. I'm like normal level here with what Ryland was doing with his fans. In my opinion, was straight up bullying them. A lot of people say that what drama channels, what commentary, what journalists do to Ryland, talking about him as bullying. So, if that is bullying, what is Ryland repeating his comments from his fans that are leaving really nice ones, honestly, supportive comments saying that they love the podcast, they're very excited that they're getting longer content from Ryland. And Ryland, if you haven't seen it, we're going to look at it before we watch what he's responded, the backlash. He starts repeating the comments from his subscribers, making fun of them. So they left a nice comment saying, we're, finally getting a longer episode, we're so happy. And he would read it like, we're finally getting a longer episode, finally. Like, as if the fans are, stressing him out or being too demanding or whatever, which is ironic because you are a YouTuber. You're in the most privileged job ever, coming from a YouTuber. Come on now. And so it really rubbed me up the wrong way, and people have their mixed opinions about Ryland Adams and where he stands, but I think that is drawing a line, because Ryland Adams only has an audience because of his fiancée, Shane Dawson, and Shane Dawson is rapidly losing fans, as we're aware, and Ryland, with the little part that he has left, the little group of fans that he has left, the podcast has been going on now, it doesn't get that many views. And that's me referencing that Ryland used to get millions of views whenever Shane was in the title and thumbnail, and now he's out on his own doing the podcast and it's not doing so well. Maybe that's why Shane is doing restocks of merchandise every week, even though he hasn't been seen for a year. So, with Ryland, it just rubbed me up incredibly the wrong way that he was just making fun of his fans, because they weren't even being rude to him, they weren't being demanding, they weren't being anything other than excited young fans that were grateful for content, and Ryland used that to make fun of them on a video that they were going to watch. He made fun of them, on the podcast that they're watching. So it's like the only audience, I said this in my video where we first addressed it, the only people that are watching this are the people that he's making fun of. So he just is like making fun of the fans that he has, and that's a no-no. That's a Mariah Carey song, a no-no. But no, you don't make fun of your fans, the people that are supporting you through thick and thin, Ryland. We're seeing that, they're sticking up for you a lot, and they're doing the most so that they can still stick up for you. And what do you do in return? Make fun of them. So, again, for a little bit of context, he addressed it in the newest podcast, The Backlash, and, justifying it or whatever. We'll hear him out, right, and then we'll talk about it. So, if you missed it, I'm just going to play it without commentary, the first whenever he was making fun of the comments, then we can look at his response, so that if you haven't seen my first video, it'll make sense. And if you're here and you've already watched this, let's watch it together, and let's fill with rage, because it's so annoying seeing ungrateful people just, Okay, here we go.
Wow. I was pretty upset over this past week.
Let's just let it run.
Podcast.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
What happened?
Let me turn down the brightness, by the way, so you can see.
All of the comments were like, finally a podcast! Not cut down to nothing! And
no, why would you be upset about that?
Shane laughing in the background.
I tell you this every week.
It's the aggression in which they approach
it's
appreciating.
You're creating the aggression in your articulation.
They're creating the aggression.
Shane's hanging himself laughing in the background, by the way.
Appreciate a longer podcast. They could just say, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for the hour-long podcast.
No wonder they're great for each other.
They're saying, finally a podcast that isn't cut all the way down to nothing. This is essentially a vlog show.
And yet they're watching and subscribing and living and loving and grateful for more time. So I think you should see the silver lining in this.
That we can talk and talk and talk.
And that these people love it.
It's
I
so
am very appreciative that they like the longer episodes.
I can't believe that's what you were upset about.
Well, it's just like some of the aggression, and there were some that were just like, yay,
I
getting my
really
coffee
feel
ready.
like the aggression you're hearing, it's like, I think it's like how people think that you and I are constantly on the brink of like fencing to the death.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you're hearing the aggression where people are hearing that you and I are tense.
So
Do you know what I'm
awful and cringe.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Do you want to talk about how you were going to expose me this week?
I don't have to expose you.
Yes, you do.
No,
'cause it
you
didn't
exposed
happen.
yourself.
No,
And then they go on to the
Oh,
tension
you
that's,
did
you know,
too?
all fun and jokes. Okay, so now he has addressed it on the next podcast. And it's like, for a podcast that, keep in mind, Ryland said is not going to be about drama, is not going to be controversial, is just going to be, you know, fun topics or whatever, it surely relies on getting talked about every week. And they're now going to the stage of, you know, hitting their own fans for a topic. You know, that's something new we haven't really seen with the YouTuber. So, great job, Lapdog. Great job. You're doing something you haven't done before or any other YouTuber has ever dared to do, which is make fun of their own audience for being grateful for content. Their young audience, by the way. You know, that's something new that you've done that is getting us talked, you know, good on you. Well done. Something very original, which we know you struggle with. Okay, so here we have it in his new podcast. Ryland is responding to the backlash for basically just making fun of the fans for being excited that he's giving them content. Now,
Every time I address comment,
by the way, before we watch this, I just want to say, I always say this though, I know very limited about the co-host Lizzie. And I do think guilty by association when it comes to Ryland and Shane and stuff, especially all we know now. However, she's doing her job, she's getting her money, good for you. She really seems to be the level-headed one. Every time we talk about Ryland's let's sit down and have a conversation. I'm already sitting. Are you sitting? Probably. Anytime we talk about drama that has to do with Ryland's podcast now, it seems that he is always the worst in the world, and she is trying to calm him down or be like, putting it in retrospect and making him understand that he sounds so arrogant or ungrateful or ignorant. And you know what? I appreciate that. I actually very much so do. I know very limited stuff about her. A lot of people commented on my video about this, saying that they would enjoy a podcast with just her. I want to know what your opinion is on that. I would never watch it because I don't know anything about her, but maybe you would. So, here we go. Ryland Adams addressing the backlash for making fun of his own fans. That's something I never thought I was going to have to say, but you know what? I'm not surprised I have to say
every
it.
time I address comments, I come across as a baby. I get it.
I feel like even that addressing right there is gonna have you come across as a baby. Are you making a baby?
Well, no, but I have been seeing a lot of people being like, Ryland's different on the podcast. And I would like to say people are multifaceted, you know?
Yeah.
And the podcast is definitely more performative than any of my other outlets because we're trying to entertain people through conversation.
And we're blacked out.
Ah, it makes so much sense now. He's trying to entertain us. Oh my god, why didn't we think about that? Mucker, he's trying to entertain us. It all makes sense now, doesn't it?
And you're seeing two people's relationship that is one of like best friend type that like to get riled up about nothing. You know what I mean?
It's like
Because
if
it's
we were in
entertaining.
a car together and there was a question of road rage, it would probably end in a massacre because we would just. Am I wrong?
What?
I mean, I always got the vibe that if we were in traffic and someone upset me, that you would have my back in a knife fight. Am I wrong about that?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, you and I could fight about literally nothing. Like, we could fight about the weather if we wanted
Well,
to.
we're about to.
And you know what? It's so funny. And it's so entertaining. They can fight about anything and it's entertaining. It's entertaining. You know, whenever he's making fun of his own fans, it's for the entertainment value. The entertainment value for the viewers that he's making fun of, by the way. I'm sure the children are finding it very funny.
Have my back in a knife fight.
I just don't think violence is the answer. I think we could just, like, speed off, at worst cut them off, and just like flip them off, maybe.
I mean,
I was just saying more so the fact like you and I particularly like to fight about absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I guess.
And I don't know why that gets us going.
I think it tickles us inside because we're not like actually confrontational people, but it's nice to. Oh no, do you think
You're pretty confrontational. Like even when we were ordering salads the other day, and she's like, "Listen," and she's
sorry,
like,
I have to intersect. If I have to watch this for a video to update you, I can't not watch this conversation and let you know that I personally find this so boring. And here's the thing. You may love this podcast. Great. I'm so happy for you. You have something to watch. Me, personally, I've been in situations, and I said this with marketing. Whenever I did my media course, I had to watch a lot of people do performances, a lot of people do podcasts, do interviews, and you could tell when people got it and when people don't. And if I was forced to watch this, which I feel like I am, it's two people who don't really know what they're talking about, and they're coming up with something in their head to talk about, obviously to fill time and, start a conversation, but it's so surface level. They're talking about ordering salads. But it's for the entertainment value, of course. It's just interesting to me because it's like the people at the top of the platform. I'm not necessarily saying Ryland Adams is the top of the platform, especially in 2021, but it's like the bare minimum, you know what I mean? And I'm so happy if you enjoyed this podcast. I'm so happy for you, or other people. Like, good for you. A decent amount of people do. They obviously do the podcast. Just me personally, I have to throw that in, that I've watched so many people do interviews, and I've watched so many people do podcasts and sitting in the room and live, and it's just so forced, and it's so like, oh, I know that they know that they're filming a podcast, so this is why they're talking. It's not a natural conversation. It's not two friends. It's not conversations two people generally just something I needed to add.
No dressing. Okay. More dressing. And I was like,
still by salads.
Too aggressive. And she's like, I'm not being mean at all. I was like, you're coming across as kind of mean. And then sometimes on the podcast,
I would never say no bacon. That is never a thing I would say.
I was projecting the no bacon. I didn't remember exactly what it was you didn't want on your salad.
I said no chips.
But even sometimes on the podcast afterwards, you were like, oh, I was definitely kidding about XX and X. And I was like, were you? Because you say it. Sometimes you say things with such conviction.
Yeah.
And
here's the thing. They're now talking, and it's backtracking. They're so gently talking about the fact that there was backlash to do with, something recently. I wonder what that is. Oh yeah, you making fun of your audience for being excited about your project that's failing, allegedly. And you're tiptoeing around it because you basically have to issue an apology to your viewers, who were the people that you made fun of. And now you're doing this full entertaining, distracting piece about salads, and now you're coming back to it where you're, backtracking by saying, are you catching on to this? That, they'll talk after they film the podcast, that they weren't that serious about this, or they weren't that serious about this. They're leaning that they mean that they're not being too serious about, the fans being excited about, more content, and them making fun of that in the podcast. They talk after and they say, oh, we really love the fans. We really love the fans. We're so happy that they're so excited about the podcast. What's the use being so general talking? And what's the use saying that you're having those conversations off camera and then being like, oh, I'm kind of like a baby when I respond to things, and, I'm not confrontational. But, if I say something that you don't agree with, after the podcast, me and Lizzie talk about it. You may not hear it, and we won't say that we do it until there's a little bit of backlash, and then we'll say that it's not that deep, it's not that serious. It's just so performative and backtracking, which is interesting because you're backtracking to the people that you were making fun of. But again, the fans are young, and the fans will love this, and good for them.
X and X, and I was like, were you? Because you say it. Sometimes you say things with such conviction.
Yeah.
Is he projecting about himself?
To get sassy back at you, and
I just assume that people know. I mean, and it makes me sad. And this is what I was trying to express to you at Sweet Greens.
Okay, there we go. So they're basically talking about the fact that, they'll talk off camera, they will resolve things off camera, Ryland will get riled up because of what Lizzie says, Lizzie will get riled up because of what Ryland said, but at the end of the day, you haven't addressed the insane backlash that you're getting from not only the general public, but your own fans for just being a dick. Being ungrateful. Like, why would you make fun of your own fans? There's so much that they're, you know, closing their eyes to, that they can still support you. And what do you do in return? Make fun of them. Couldn't be me. And couldn't be you. Couldn't be Mariah. Couldn't be any of these ladies. You know why? Because people who support you, support you. They don't have to support you. They don't have to watch your channel. They don't have to watch your vanilla-ass podcast. They don't. They choose to. So why are you going to make fun of them on the show, then try to sell them overpriced merchandise, make fun of them on the show, you know, not address the fact that they're angry, but be a little bit general about, you know, that there was backlash, and, you know, if there's ever something that people don't like on the podcast, you know, we didn't mean it and it wasn't that serious. What? What's not that serious? What did you talk about off camera? Let us know. Don't be shy. You know, the two confrontational people. Let us know. I want to know what your opinion is of this. Let me know. It just really pisses me off because more so than anything, just why would you go against the people that I may not agree with Shane Dawson or Ryland Adams or their fans at this stage in 2021, but it's like, damn, they're still being so loyal for you, so just don't abuse that. Don't. Okay, I love you. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know what you thought. Remember, I'm vlogging every day on my second channel, linked below. Okay, I'll see you in my next one. Just don't do that. Anyways, bye.